According to David Schwartz, the widespread use of digital assets is about to happen. Additionally, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bassett discusses the significance of digital assets. The U. Federal Reserve provided us with an update regarding tariff shock and the return of inflation. As of right now, they are not decreasing rates. Verson sent me some video. In the end, I received a little bit more XRP content along with some further information regarding the return of quantitative easing. Come on, let's get started. Listen up, guys. His wager. Indeed, sir. The point is that US best practices should sort of set the pace for others to follow, rather than us trying to fill in the gaps that others may have created. That's why we think the US should be the top destination for digital assets, and members of this committee and the Senate are working to create a good market structure around that so that US best practices are used globally. Indeed, sir. Additionally, due to stable coin laws, digital assets are a significant source of innovation that will encourage people to listen to this innovation. This innovation will encourage the use of the US dollar globally. According to some estimates, demand for US government securities from digital assets could reach $2 trillion in the coming years. It's there. All right, we need a new buyer for the US debt, isn't that the plan? Treasury bonds are just that. Debt is being purchased. The United States of America is committing to pay back the money you lent us, plus a percentage based on that rate. I suppose you would say that it is due of the tariff and trade war that we currently have. I'm not sure what other term you might use. You know, there are some nations who refuse to comply with our demands. And instead of renegotiating this trade or punishing us for messing it up, they are selling treasury bonds. The two largest holders of US debt, China and Japan, are currently selling treasury bonds totaling billions of dollars. Stable currencies are backed by treasuries by nature, and Scott Bassett and other Treasury officials are searching for alternative ways or other players to purchase U.S. debt. The simplest and most straightforward thing to support is that, although there are various kinds of securities, treasuries are typically the most popular. You're beginning to understand how important cryptocurrency is while all of this trade stuff is worked out, which I hope happens soon. Ships aren't arriving with merchandise, but I doubt any of us want to see shelves that are empty. Additionally, you can only purchase so much of the goods that were front-loaded last month before all of the tariffs were implemented. Interesting, in a way. I completed a thorough economic update. It will be released prior to this video. Check out that video. I provide you with all the information you require. According to this drone friend, tariff shock hasn't yet occurred. When they play it, I'll also explain this to you. The data does not yet show significant economic effects. We observe sentiment and their worries about potential price increases or similar issues. As a result, many are now concerned about inflation. They are concerned that the tariffs will cause them to be shocked. However, they haven't actually experienced that shock yet. All right, in order to determine what we should do, we will be examining both sentiment and actual economic facts along this process. Also, keep in mind that there would be two outcomes. One would be a declining economy and declining economic activity, which would lead to more unemployment. The other would be a possible increase in inflation. To reiterate, there is a great deal of uncertainty regarding the timing, extent, size, and duration of those effects. As a result, it is still unclear what the proper monetary policy response should be. Additionally, our policy is doing well, as you are aware. Therefore, we believe that we can wait and act when it is evident what is right. It's really unclear what we need to accomplish. Listen, the Fed is concerned that inflation may return. Inflation is a natural consequence of tariffs. The price of already available commodities will increase as fewer goods become available for the general public to purchase and consume. The Fed is genuinely at a loss for what to do in the face of this type of double-hit inflation. They therefore expect that cooler heads will prevail and that the United States will be able to obtain the goal for which we have come. These manufacturers are being brought back to the United States because, well, some of these jobs are just not viable here. The minimum wage in our states can range from $8 to $10, or whatever it is. In Mexico, India, or any of these other nations where many of these commodities are now being manufactured, you could get a lot more for your money. Thus, a large portion of the change is occurring in India rather than China. However, it will still take years for that to happen. And you still need to create the factories even if the United States wants to develop all of these things today. The employees need to be trained. This won't happen for years. Hopefully, they resolve all of this so that we may proceed. However, you are also seeing the return of quantitative easing, or QE. Pay attention. The Fed purchased 20 billion of the 58 billion 3-year notes yesterday. They purchased 14.8 billion of the 42 billion 10-year notes today. If you figure it out, it's roughly 35% in each situation. As a result, the Fed's balance sheet will begin to expand once more. Remember, we get to see the size every Thursday afternoon. This Thursday, we'll pay special attention. Finally, yesterday, the Fed began to reintroduce quantitative easing, QE, which involves pumping money back into the economy. In an effort to keep the market stable, the Fed is beginning to purchase Treasury bonds. There are 8 billion people in the world, but less than 5 million people hold XRP. Even fewer hold XDC, Algo, HAR, or Quant. Institutions aren't scared of retail. We don't have enough power to stop anything. Amen. They know that once regulation hits, retail access will shrink. Liquidity will be locked behind compliance and they flip the switch and they're ready, not us. And let me put this into perspective. Even if some of us hit big, 88% of lottery winners go broke within 5 years. Amen.
Why? Because they weren't building wealth.
They were buying Lambos, not legacies. The system doesn't fear us. It knows money will circle right back to them unless you understand the game and how it's really played. So if you're early, protect your position. Build slow. Think big because generational wealth isn't about hype. It's about timing, position, and discipline. Alright, a lot of great things that she said, but some of this stuff, we could have shortened that down from 3.5 minutes to maybe like 2, but all good. A lot of really valuable information. What is one thing that you want to buy? If XRP reached a very high value tomorrow and you became wealthy overnight, what's the first thing you'd want to do, right? You going to buy something for yourself, your family, somebody you don't even know? Let me know. If you want to take your education a step further, you can go to Join Kryptonaires and join for 7 days. Kryptonaires is my community where we go through a lot of updates in the crypto space, projects that I am buying and getting into. If you want to work with hundreds of other people from all around the world in the crypto space, be able to ask questions in a safe place. Aloha. Peace. Alright, everyone. See you.